And welcome back to Chris and Jen in the Morning, where it's always morning somewhere. I'm still Chris.
And I'm still Jen.
All right.
Welcome to the podcast.
Super excited for today's topic. What is it, Jen?
It's movies, all about the movies.
Woohoo! All right. So let's start with are you a movie goer? Do you enjoy going to the theater? Or are you I want to stay at home in my own comfy, cozy space and watch the movie?
I am is there a third category?
Sure, we can create all the categories.
I want to go to the movies, but in a theater that is clean.
Where my feet don't stick to the floor.
Nice. And I love the recliner movie theaters,
yeah.
Except for, everybody's been eating all of their food and drink and popcorn, and everything is sticky, and there's popcorn in all of the sides of the, and then I just feel like I need to, I'm just trying to pay attention to the movie, but also that little voice inside my head is going, all these germs from people's mouths are covering you. You're covered in things people have licked.
That's not your kernel of popcorn. That's not your dot sticking to your pant leg.
Yeah. So, I don't want the table tray to touch me because, who knows how clean that is. Yeah. So I feel like pre-COVID, the theaters may actually have been a little nicer. And at least around here, a lot of the nice theaters have kind of had a tough time and shut down. And so I feel like a trip to the movies is not quite the same experience as what it once was.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that comes back because there is something about going and seeing it, at the theater.
Yeah. Larger than life, the whole sound. I agree. I enjoy a clean movie theater. We have a movie theater in the neighborhood next to ours, walking distance, and I would say it's the easiest to go to. So we are frequently last minute movie goer planners, and so it's not been really updated. The seats are okay. We actually we'll get into this in a minute, but I went last night and they had on display, they're redoing the theaters with the new reclining seats with the little trays that you speak of. And so,
well, they'll be new, so maybe they'll be nicer.
Yeah. I mean, look, I don't go sit on the floor. I don't. I try not to touch anything when I'm there. But then we actually went and saw a 4D movie. Do you know what a 4D movie is?
Oh, that's where they spray you with water and rumble your seat. Yeah.
Yes.
No,
yes. So we went and saw Mad Max Fury Road. That was the first movie that we saw in one of those. And let me tell you, it was like a roller coaster. I had a bag of popcorn. And as they also show it on the previews, you're moving with the previews. And I'm shaking so much, my popcorn is flying everywhere. So I ended up closing the popcorn and setting it aside because I'm I can't.
So the person that sat in your seat after you really is covered in your popcorn?
No, because the popcorn went everywhere else but to me. It was an experience.
That's different. I don't know that would be my jam.
I don't think so, because you're not also a roller coaster person, are you?
I'm not.
Yeah.
Well, it's good. I get the motion sickness. It's just I don't need. I spend enough of my time being dizzy. I don't need to do it as an activity.
I don't want to pay for it as well.
Just not. I wish that I could enjoy those things, but that's not for me, and I'm okay with that. But I there is something about being at home because you can pause the movie.
Yeah.
Somehow I always feel the need to just drink 6 cups of water while I'm at the movie, and then because I'm eating all that popcorn. And then it middle of the movie comes and I'm I don't want to get up and go to the bathroom. I also don't want to use the movie theater bathroom.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there.
I don't want to get up and go to the bathroom, but I also don't know if I can pay attention to the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
And hold it.
So then it's not enjoyable because I have to go to the bathroom. I'm already uncomfortable in the seat I'm watching. I hear you.
So if you watch it from home, you don't have to worry about any of those things.
Right, exactly. Pause it. And
which is great. I would say there are some movies that you just though have to see in the theater, and then there are others that I'm like, that's okay. I'll watch that at home. Like Moana 2, excited to see that. I don't need to see that in the theater. But there are other movies that have come out that we'll talk about, like Wicked, that I absolutely had to go see in the theater. You got to have that big screen experience.
I'm shocked to hear that based on the sweatshirt that you're wearing with Wicked across it. You mean you didn't see that in theaters?
Well, this sweatshirt I actually got, I think the first time we went and I saw it on Broadway.
It was my first.
It was my first Broadway show.
So it has a special place in your heart.
Yes, and I have seen it many times on Broadway, and I've loved it every time.
Every time.
Okay, so before we talk about movies, including Wicked, of course, let's talk about movie snacks. Are you a snack while you watch a movie? Eat a meal while you watch a movie?
Not an eat a meal while you watch a movie.
You watch a movie.
I'm a snacker, so I have recently gotten over if I go to a movie theater, I have gotten over the dilemma I used to have with popcorn at the movie theater.
What was that? What was that dilemma?
I don't know. There's something about like people reaching in over the popcorn to like scoop it and shovel it, and like this was before they had like the doors on the popcorn makers and things like that, and so I don't know, like just germs. But honestly, that's what it comes down to. It just was the germ factor to me.
I actually am surprised at myself that I had never considered that.
New fear unlocked. But I've gotten over that, and I'm able to enjoy popcorn now. So if I go to a movie theater, if we don't go like have dinner before or something like that, I'll definitely get popcorn. I love my snacks. I am really into sweet tart ropes. Not sure if you've had them before. But they're like a gummy, tangy. I enjoy them. I like them. Frank and I both enjoy them. Right. But then I don't like, if I'm at a movie theater, I don't like the rustling. So like I pre-open everything so it rustles as little as possible. But yeah.
Do you take your own snacks to the theater?
No. I don't. Are you take your own snacks?
It depends.
Depends if I'm wanting some brie on some brioche or.
We used to. So the theater we usually go to has those like reclining seats and kind of the meal thing. They changed ownership over the last couple of years. They got bought out by a larger company, and their menu is not as good. And so there's not as much that I like on it. Okay. But usually we'll go around like a time where we'll eat the meal, but we go like the 30 minutes before so that the eating can be done during the before the movie time.
Yeah. That's what I was going to ask is like, is it weird? Like I'm trying to like cut and watch movie like.
Oh, you can order like stuff that you have to.
You're not getting a filet mignon.
No, you're not getting a filet mignon while you watch a movie. That's like involved, right? So, but I also like I'm not into eating things that just aren't really delicious, and I don't want to waste, eating something on something that's not going to be really delicious. And and so there is a little bit of that sometimes. But we do always end up ordering food regardless. So it's not like if I were to have brought a piece of actual good dark chocolate with me because they don't have that at the theater, that I'm not also paying them money for stuff. I would say when we go to the theater, they make their popcorn in coconut oil, and
do all theaters do that?
I don't know, but this one does. And
I don't think I'd like that.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan. And it's also their popcorn kernels are it's not always the freshest popcorn. It's not the best popcorn. It's not like when you go to, the movie theater and you get the popcorn and it's movie theater popcorn. It's not like that.
Yeah, good,
so
buttery,
why am
salty.
I going to pay, $20 for a bowl of popcorn that is not that good?
Just not going to enjoy.
However, at home, when we do movie night, there's usually popcorn, and in our theater upstairs, we got one of those popcorn machines,
Oh, yeah,
on the
yeah.
stand. And while it's not as healthy as air popped popcorn, it sure is delicious. So I love when Ace uses the actual popcorn machine. For downstairs, we have one of those little. It's actually a Hello Kitty, little dome ones that has a
Yeah.
thing that turns. Um, but I'm a big popcorn fan. If I was gonna eat candy at a movie theater that you get at a movie theater, it probably would be Reese's Pieces. Um, and a little Reese's Pieces and popcorn, but I typically don't get the candy because I'm kind of particular about candy that I like. It's usually chocolate, and it's usually like bougie good dark chocolate.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't want it.
Yeah. No,
Or
I hear
dots.
that.
I do like dots, but I don't like the red dots. So, at home, if I am having dots and popcorn, the balance of sweet and salty, I will pick out all of the red dots first and put them aside because I don't like them.
I wonder if Dots is going to be able to keep producing now that the whatever that red dye is has been like the FDA has like taken that off the market, right?
Well, they could do. I don't know if that red dye is in those dots or not, but they could do
You'd be
without the
okay
red
with it.
dots and be fine. And the red dots are usually like half the box,
Oh, that's upsetting.
so it's a great way to eat fewer dots, anyways. But if I'm
Dots
gonna
just
eat
trying to help you.
candy, yeah, if I'm gonna eat candy that's not like chocolate, then it probably would be dots.
Okay. All right. I will say if we're doing like a movie night at home or at our friend's house, which is where we usually watch most movies, going to the movie theater is more of a treat. But usually dinner is involved. Like we order something or make it and then watch it. But I think we have a couple movie theaters where you can get meals, like what you're talking about, but they're even more expensive. And so on top of already an expensive ticket, the food on top of it, that would be a real treat.
Yeah, I am a big fan of like, can I just have popcorn and apple slices for dinner? And my husband tells me that that's not a well-balanced meal. Can I add a protein shake and we'll just call it a well-balanced meal? But like growing up, that was something that we would sometimes have for dinner is popcorn and apple slices, and so that's a thing that I like to do.
Some nostalgia.
Yeah, it's like crunchy and sweet, and apples are crunchy, and crunchy is my favorite flavor. So
just like sparkle is your favorite color.
That's right. Why color inside the lines when you have the whole page?
Exactly. I'm with you.
Just a suggestion. So movie theaters are actually really special to me. They hold some sentimental value. I met my husband for the first time at a movie theater.
Okay.
I met him through a mutual friend. Just as one of my closest friends was his roommate in college, and was like, "Oh, you got to meet my new roommate." And so we just met to meet each other, and I always say he did this like maneuver, Ace, my husband, where he put me in the middle. He says I relate to the movie, and so he just was like, and by the way, we were there before the movie actually started. We just missed some of the previews, but that is a like sacrilege for him because movies are like
the
a religion
previews is
for
part
him.
of the movie.
But I was late, and
which is so not on brand for Jen.
Time and space are a mystery to me. I actually didn't have any clean socks, and so I had to dig into these like socks I never wear, and they were like tie-dyed socks, but you could sort of see them because my pants were like to my ankles, and so he later said, yeah, like I knew the moment I saw you, you were the one, you had those socks. And I was like, that's so funny because I never would have worn those socks. Like it was the first time I'd ever worn those socks. But then when he proposed to me, he took me to see Chicago in the theater. And where we lived, they had these theaters that they built that were like, a callback to back in the day when going to the theater was like a a high class sort of experience. And outside, the pavement was all had a bunch of glitter in it, so it sparkled. And so it's evening, and the pavement in front of this majestic looking theater is all sparkling and whatever. And so we come out of the theater, and there's all these people going in and out of the theater because we'd gone to this movie just before dinner, and he like gets down on his knee, and I think he's tying his shoes. And I'm telling him, like, Ace, this isn't the place to tie your shoe. Can we like do this not in the middle of all of these people coming in and out? But he is over here very eloquently, professing his love for me, and I have no idea what's happening. And then I just remember him saying, so what's your answer? As I was then realizing that he was actually proposing to me. And of course I said yes. But he recreated the first day that we met to take me back to the same theater and propose to me. It's very sweet. Yeah, so the movies have always held a special place for us because, that's where we met.
That was probably the most expensive movie you ever went to. You got a diamond ring out of it.
Right?
I mean, unless that is like where he gives you jewelry frequently. I mean, maybe... No. Okay.
Just the one time. All right. So I went to see Chicago. That was the movie that we saw that night that I got engaged. What movies have you been seeing recently? You went to the movies last night, right?
Yeah, went to the movies last night. I went and saw Wolfman, and knowing you, good friend, you do not need to see Wolfman. You will. I mean, I'm sure it probably wasn't on your list, but if it was, go ahead and remove it. It's
not even on my radar.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, look, it was a really good story. It was really well done. I went with a couple of friends, one who like really loves horror, scary movies, psychological thrillers. She's actually the one that got me into those movies. And he said that he jumped a few times during the movie. So that's how I know like it's good because it gets him. There was some of it, even for me, it was like, not that the gore was like over, it just was a little like gross to me even. I was like, no.
Is it about a man that becomes the wolf, like a werewolf situation?
Yeah, so it's like about this family that is going to basically close up a house from his childhood. I don't want to give too much of it away, but like they encounter basically like a werewolf. And so it's kind of about like the story of their survival through that night. And that's the other thing that I really liked about the movie is that it didn't like play out over like a week. Like the majority of the movie took place over one night, and it kept telling you like it kept up with the time. So you kind of knew like where they were in the evening. Yeah, totally not a Jen movie.
I think I'm gonna pass on that.
Yeah, you absolutely should. I will say, though, I'm sure I am not a movie critic by any stretch of the imagination. I don't really read them. I don't really even follow Rotten Tomatoes. I will say, though, like I am sure there is many people who probably are going to see this movie and have like a lot to say about the storyline, the people involved. What is it really saying about relationships? And I just go and enjoy a movie for the movie. That being said, I recently saw the movie Heretic with Hugh Grant.
And what is this about? I have no idea what this is about.
It's about these two girls who are part of the Mormon church, and it's kind of their journey of like going and telling people about the Mormon church, and they end up at this guy's house who then starts to really question them on religion. It does fall more into the like psychological thriller. I think there is a little bit of like horror aspect to it. But the reason it really sticks with me, I grew up in Texas, super religious. And so a lot of it, like as they are talking about like religion in totality, it was just super interesting to hear like the different religions kind of laid out, put side by side, and compared, and the discussion that he has with them, and as they move through the movie, and how it like that's the common theme that keeps coming back up. At one point, we actually watched it at home with a couple of friends, and at one point we paused the movie to have a discussion around like the characters basically have a choice to make. You either they had two choices, one or the other. And we all go around the room and talk about, well, which choice would you make based on the conversation that they just had. And 3 out of the 4 of us chose one option. The other one was so upset with us, was like, even after everything he says, you would still make that choice. And it was just like, it was funny because funny, like ironic, not funny, haha. Because it was you could see like the difference of like how we were all raised and how our religion kind of like it was put on our perspective. So it was a movie that as I've walked away from it, I've continued to think about, and I really enjoy movies. Like I go for entertainment value, but then I also appreciate a movie that kind of sticks with you and makes you think a little bit
Kind of makes
more.
you think a little bit.
Yeah. And so another movie that I won't go into because I've not seen it in a while, but like Antebellum. Really love that movie.
I don't know that movie.
Again, I don't know if you would enjoy that movie. But it's a really good one. And the reason it's stuck with me is because of the ending. I did not see the ending coming. And so it was kind of like a holy smokes when it finally did come up. And then one of my favorite movies, V for Vendetta, which is based on
seen that one
the graphic novel or comic. I don't really, I think DC is the one that put it out, but it's real. I really enjoy the story. It is I think very kind of political, but based in the UK. But I really like the message. It kind of has a lot to say. But like those are the movies, the ones that like kind of stick with me. I can be entertained, and I want to be entertained when I go to a movie, but the ones that like really stick with me, I find are the ones I keep going back to.
I think so I think one of my favorite movies is When Harry Met Sally. And I think just because of the sort of witty banter between them, this sort of watching two people muddle through life and evolve. And I feel like there was a lot of really like thoughtful, interesting design to how they put the movie together, the way they tell the story, kind of the little interviews with the older couples. It's just really, I think, a really sweet movie. Plus, I mean, look, I grew up in the era of Meg Ryan movies, and just sort of idyllic to me. So that's one of my favorite movies. But I would say that I typically watch a movie for like not for like thought provoking, but just to be entertained.
Yeah.
I typically like the feel good sort of movies. There, one of the movies that I saw that like I feel like was just really emotional for me was The Big Sick. I don't know if you've seen that.
I didn't see that one though.
It was a great movie. But I definitely found myself going, like, I think I turned to my husband and was like, why did we come see this? This is like really moving.
Heart-wrenching.
Right. But it was still a really good story. But typically, if I'm going to see a movie, it's like, I want to go be entertained.
Yeah.
But I will say that I do appreciate the movies that are sort of entertaining, but have kind of a lighthearted, sort of message or theme that makes you think. And that takes me to one of my favorite recent movies that have come out, which is Wicked, which I think is incredibly entertaining, just so well done. And I was terrified that it was just not going to be well done.
Yeah, I think a lot of people had that feeling.
Yeah, and it really, just the story of Wicked in general, which was not written for this movie, but it really it does make you think. So I know you loved Wicked. I love Wicked. Wicked is my very first Broadway show. I have seen it a number of times. I truly love the story. I love the music. I was terrified that they were going to make this and it was going to be like not quite as good
Yeah.
as what I thought. I will say the one thing that I was not prepared for, I didn't realize it was just the first act.
You didn't know that?
No.
Oh, you're not the first person that I've heard say that. And maybe because like I followed it like not super close, but I like kept a beat on where it was, what was happening, seeing the like making of videos. But yeah, I knew that it was they had made the decision to make it two parts.
I will say, I feel like there was a lot of drama in the media between, kind of the cast, the two main actresses. It just felt very like a lot of what felt to me sort of like defensive drama. And so I was just really curious how it was going to play out in the show. But like, oh my gosh, I was so impressed by like what they did with the movie, by the performances, by the emotion that came through, by the nuance that you don't get in the seeing it on stage. And I feel like some movies will rely on like kind of one facet, whether it's the storyline or the set or choreography or the song. And I feel like, they just did such a fantastic job of like executing on all of those facets so that it was just like an incredible experience.
Yeah, I think part of what made it amazing, because same, I've seen it on Broadway many times. Several different casts have always been thoroughly entertained by it. I think Frank and I had a conversation about it after seeing the movie. Like when you see it on Broadway or on stage, you can't see like the facial expressions, the intricacies of the body language, things like that. Where in the movie, like you have the camera, it's like right there in the face. And so it just like brought a whole other level to the experience of really to me the emotion that I guess like the music does a good job of getting across on the stage, but like to really see the people who are playing the characters, like it was so beautifully done. Like I have no negative critique on it at all.
I think what I love about the story, in part, is just the concept of like what good looks like, what bad or evil looks like, where intention comes from, how that plays into things. And I think the thing that I wrestle with the most is like, it's easy to look at the story kind of on the face and say, okay, well, it's supposed to be that Galinda is good, but really, her intentions aren't always as good. And Elphaba is, characterized as the bad. She's the Wicked Witch or whatever, right? And but really she's the good one. But at the end of the day, it's like, but what's their perspective and their motivation? And does Galinda, stick around and not go with Elfie to, be able to help her from the other side? Or, it's a lot more nuanced. And so I can't wait for the second movie. I can't wait to see what they do with the story. I felt like they really stayed very true to the storyline, but they got a little more detailed. I love that they took the time to really like play the story out. And I have to say, I think my favorite scene from the movie is when Fiyero is in the library and he is dancing. And what I love about that, first of all, I think Fiyero was like just so incredibly cast. Like you could not have cast a better Fiyero. Just incredible. But what I love about that is like it was the use of like the physical elements, the choreography, the song, the set design, like he's dancing on top of the, books and using them to slide around. It was just like, wow, like they really thought about the whole picture and
Yeah.
how to really like bring this story to life. It was not at all lazy, this
No,
movie.
not
It
at
was
all.
so incredibly well put together. And the set design and the costumes were just spectacular, but they didn't rely on that. Like the acting is incredible, the singing is incredible, the emoting is incredible, the screenplay is incredible, like the writing of the characters,
Yeah.
the witty banter, the balance of like emotional and laughter. Um, I just I think it's incredible.
Yeah, and I think some of that, I think the reason it came across so like authentic and the character are the actors really connected with their characters when at least in the stuff that I've heard them talk about in interviews and things like that, like this had such an important meaning to them, like outside of this part. Like it was, they
Yeah.
saw it on Broadway, it was their first show or whatever. Like they wanted to do right by it just as much as they wanted to like get a paycheck. So I think that really came across in the acting. I will say I've seen, like I said, I've seen it several times on Broadway, but this was like my first time coming out of the theater and being like, like people really like see and identify with Galinda. Like that it like people see that character and like, oh my gosh, that's like, and I don't know why that was my aha moment coming like after seeing it on or in the theater. But I don't know, like just the way that it was portrayed and played, like it really just, I saw it from a different perspective. Like I personally, I think, have identified more with Elphaba as I've seen it, just because of my walk of life. But I feel like the way that she was written in that and played that in the movie was just like there were also parts of her I identified with myself, like, and so yeah, that was like a big aha that I'm not really sure why it was an aha when I came out of it.
Well, I mean, I think it's like, do you want to identify with the one who, clearly is written as supposed to be good, but kind of a little more self-centered? But isn't that the whole point of the story, whether it's on Broadway or in this movie, is that as you go through the story, the characters, continue to evolve.
Yeah.
And I think the character that probably has the most evolution is Galinda. Like just from a personal journey standpoint, she starts out as being, kind of spoiled and really self-centered, and you really start to see her opening up. Like she is kind-hearted, and she really starts to open up. And that scene where they're telling secrets,
Oh
and
yeah.
she tells Elfie, like, oh, that is not your fault. And it's just this, like, the reaction, the such authentic reaction that you see from her that just is like, oh my goodness. Like I see you and I want you to know, like, don't take this on. I am here for you, and let me take away this hurt that you're carrying. I think that is the point at which, in my opinion, you really see her character start to evolve. And that came through for me in the movie more than I think it has come through for me in seeing it in this, on stage.
Yeah. And I think again, some of that is based on the nuances of like seeing it from afar versus like being right there. Like,
well, and the amount of time that they have taken, because I think they're taking a little bit more time to tell this story than the amount of time that you get with it on stage, right? Which I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I have to wait a year to see the rest of the movie. But I am glad that they took the time to really develop the characters, because I think it is just such a moving story, right?
Yeah.
Like it does make you think a lot about what your motivation is and what choices you would make. And, I just think, it's like one of those very poignant, kind of things to think through, but it also somehow makes you feel really good at the same time.
Yeah. And I think like it does a good job with helping kind of explain that even in the different like as you like go through life, as you think that you want something, you want to achieve a certain something, and then as you get closer to achieving that, like it can change. And then like you see it from a different perspective. You are looking at it from a different through a different lens. And I think I love the way that the whole thing towards the end where she meets the wizard and kind of, the curtains pulled back and she's beginning to see the inner workings, like the emotion that was in that, like I felt it when I would say like her eyes were finally open. Like it was tough to watch. Like it was heartbreaking.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a really heartbreaking story, but it also is a feel-good story of like, I think I think what I love about Elphaba's character is the amount of compassion she has for the world around her. And, growing up in the way that she did and not having that kind of love and compassion surrounding her and aimed at her, that she can still be this, this person that has such deep commitment to doing what is right and caring for others. I think, I think that's a reality, and that is representative of, real people in the world. And it's just a reminder that, there really is a lot of good in the world, and you can be good no matter, your background, your upbringing. And, I think that's the feel good part to me. It is both heart-wrenching and feel good at the same time.
Yeah. Look,
what's your favorite scene?
So I think it's that whenever like the moment when like she finally sees what's actually happening in the Emerald City and behind the curtain. Again, I just think it was so well acted and so well done that like it really stuck with me. Like it has imprinted on me. But again, everything about it was wonderful. I mean,
phenomenal.
The way it was played, the music, again, the dedication that the actors had to making sure that they showed up for the characters in a way that was true and authentic feeling it came across. I'm shocked at how many award nominations it is nominated for, but the director is not nominated for Best Director. Like I'm shocked.
I haven't even been paying attention to that. I didn't realize that. That is shocking. Yeah. I mean, that is really shocking.
Yeah, I think it's up for like 10 nominations, but one of them is not for Best Director. So I know there's been a lot of press about it, and it was. I think they all credit the director for bringing it to life, and
they do. Yeah,
and he was having his child, like his wife was having the child while they were like filming all of this. So I think that you also see a level of like love and care poured into this. On top of that, whenever I heard that he was like calling in from like paternity leave, I was like, that he loves it. Like, that he was trying to take really good care of it.
Yeah, and it's John Chu, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
And I think he did Crazy Rich Asians as well,
which
is like a much different genre hop. I was like thinking about that going, and Crazy Rich Asians, by the way, is a great movie. Yep. Love that movie. In fact, I should put that on my rewatch list because I haven't seen that in a while. But it was incredible. I just was really impressed.
Yeah, look, it's one of those that will be I think he has made an impact. I think there is now trust, and I'm almost even more excited to see what other shows he picks up to more Broadway shows that he looks to bring to the screen.
Well, yeah, it's interesting because, this is certainly not the first Broadway show that has been brought to the big screen. And it's not even the first one that I've loved. Like Phantom of the Opera, for instance, that movie was fantastic. The singing was fantastic.
I fell in love with the movie before I ever saw the actual Broadway play.
Yeah, I mean, it was incredible. It was great. But I mean, I feel like this was 10 million times different, right? More, and maybe that's just, we're how many years later and the advancement of, what you can do in a movie today. Yeah. But I mean, I'm blown away. I did not expect for it to be this good.
Yeah, I think a lot of musicals are also moving to having the people sing live as well. So I want to say that Les Mis was one of the first ones that really, I would say in recent history, they had earpieces and the music was being played as they were singing and filming, which before it was like you would go into a recording studio, you'd record it, and then you would lip sync in the movie, which what kind of made me fall in love with Broadway was Rent, seeing Rent on in theater, and it was the first show that I ever saw on like New York City Broadway proper.
I love Rent.
Yeah, but again, like that viewing experience is very different because in a movie you have the ability to like go to different locations. You have more to work with, but whenever it's actually done on stage, it's a very neutral stage. It is not super. There's not a huge set. It's like it's still meaningful and impactful. It's just it's not the same as like a set that Wicked would have.
Yeah. No, it was incredible. I was just I'm still blown away. And I love that they worked in Idina Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth, and it almost to me was like the mark of they've blessed this movie so that you didn't have to feel like at odds, with the characters and the way that they were played. But
they worked in a lot of people who have worked in previous productions. And so I didn't know that until after I saw the movie. And then I saw something about like all the cameos you may have missed. And then it showed all the different people. I was like, oh my gosh, that just to me makes it even more special because to your point, like these are people who have played these roles in Idina Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth originating the roles. Like it just is an extra level of specialness.
Yeah, it was awesome. Okay, so what's upcoming from a movie standpoint that you're looking forward to seeing aside from Wicked Part 2?
Yeah, Wicked Part 2 for sure. Honestly, I don't know. Like the movie we saw last night was more of that horror psychological thriller genre, and there was nothing really in those previews that made me excited. But I'm also more of like what's out and how does the preview look and watch it versus like go to a movie.
How does it see?
Exactly. How about you?
There's a Marvel movie coming up, right?
Oh yeah, the new Captain America, right?
Yeah. Yes. I think that one is upcoming.
Big poster, like one of those interactive type posters in the movie theater last night with the Red Hulk. So, and I think Anthony Mackie, I think that's his name, who's playing the new Captain America. So,
and who's playing Red Hulk?
Harrison Ford, isn't it?
Harrison Ford?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm excited to see that. I'm really excited to see that. What else is coming out?
That's one I want to go see in 4D. I told Frank that I want to go see that one in the 4D.
I'm excited to hear about your experience.
my earth-shaking experience.
I do want to see Moana 2. I haven't seen that. I haven't really heard much buzz about it. Not that I've been paying attention.
Are you going to watch Moana 1 before you watch Moana 2?
I mean, on the weekends in the morning, sometimes I like to just put on something from, a Disney cartoon and watch it. And so I have watched it recently, but, maybe, I don't know. I haven't even really been paying attention to like what the storyline of Moana 2 is. So, I'll
You're
be
just
ready.
excited because you like the first one.
Yeah, but you never know. Like, I'm trying not to get my hopes up because you never know about a sequel.
That's
sometimes they're
very
great
true.
and sometimes they're not. And so, I don't even know. Maybe that is out already in like to be watched at home. But I think it's actually still in theater. What else is coming up? I don't know.
See, I don't, like I said, like I'm not a movie critic. My go-to is always like what looks good and like what looks like it'll entertain me. And then like the ones that stick with me are the ones that tend to make me think after the fact. So I try to stay alive. There's an Avatar 3 coming out, right? I didn't see the second one.
When is that coming? Oh, you
Did I
should.
miss it? I should definitely see that
one.
You
You should. It was good. The Way of the Water, right?
Yeah, that was the second one.
Yeah. That I think is worth watching the first one, then the second one. And I will say just the way, of course, I mean, this has been said a million times, but the way that James Cameron brings, an entire world to life is just is really incredible.
Yeah, I think Avatar was the first movie I ever saw in 3D. And I think it really set the bar for me. Like the 3D experience, I felt truly like better immersed me in that world. I know 3D makes some people sick, so if that is you, then don't go see it in 3D.
I love it. I don't know. I'm looking at what's coming up, and I'm not sure that I'm.
There's a new Snow White. The live action Snow White is coming out. But I'm not too excited about that one, if I'm being honest.
I feel like sometimes these live action princess stories turn out well, and sometimes they don't, and you just kind of never know.
Well, I think there's actually been like real drama around the new Snow White movie because I want.
Oh, that's right. Because, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I think what I had heard is that whoever was directing or producing, whether it was Disney, had like released a statement that they were actually going to use people who within the dwarf community. Sorry, that may not be the right phrasing. To play the seven dwarfs, and apparently they have not, like that they did not do that, and so I think it has caused some drama around the production of it.
I don't even see it on the list of things coming out. There is a Paddington in Peru, so there's another Paddington movie coming out, maybe. Captain America: Brave New World.
Brave New World.
Brave New World. That's the one with Red Hulk. I don't know. There's a lot coming out that I don't know anything about. So I guess what would be great is if you guys would tell us what movies are coming up that you're really excited to see, and why are you excited to see them, and let us know what we should start checking out.
Love it. Love recommendations. I've already added to the list The Big Sick. Want to see it.
Gotta see it. Oh yeah, and then what are your favorite movies and why? Tell us about that. Keep the thriller ones for Chris, because that's not for me. But awesome. Well, thanks for tuning in.
Have a wonderful day, evening, weekend, wherever you are in your journey of the week. And we'll see you next time.